Don't you find it quite scary when you're being tied down on a cold, hard medical bench, have your legs spread wide open, and then someone insert a rubber tube inside your body through your pee hole?
Hey dear listeners, this is Spank U Season 2 Episode 1. I'm Anna.
And I'm Gregor.
We're from Fetish.com and we're bringing you a brand spanking new series of Spank U Next.
I'm really excited about this Season 2. It has been some time in the making.
Yeah, we've just we wrapped Season 1 a couple of months ago and now we're back with a whole new host of guests. So Gregor, let's tell people what they can expect.
Yeah, you haven't heard from us in a couple of months, but we were busy recording, interviewing, researching, having some coffees and beers and just thinking, who could we have on the podcast? Who could we talk to? What topics might be interesting for you? And yeah, we heard you. We know that you want us to go more hardcore.
That's the feedback we've been getting. As much as Season 1 was a hit, obviously.
It was big. Heard so many good things about it.
People really want to go a bit deeper and more into the scene, so that's what we'll be bringing you this season. And what you can expect each episode is myself and Gregor sitting down with a sex-positive guest or BDSM practitioner to talk about their areas of expertise.
Yeah, and in Season 2, we really widen our horizons. So we've got everything. We'll be speaking about, fetish and BDSM porn. We'll be talking about sex work. We'll, of course, be talking about the patriarchy.
As ever. It's everywhere.
One of our favourite or most hated topics.
Favourite, in a way, to talk about.
And then also we have some nuggets of special topics coming up for you. But today, we'll be talking about medical fetish.
Yeah.
So Anna, could you kind of enlighten us? What is medical fetish?
Okay, so today we'll be talking to Madame Li Ying. She's a Chinese dominatrix. She's been based in London for, I think, 2 decades nearly. And she specialises in medical play and medical fetish. Now, medical play can be anything from a role play scene where it might be a doctor and a patient or a nurse, everything up to catheterisation, CBT, cock and ball torture, injections, needles, the more hardcore side of things. So there's everything in between. It's a spectrum, but Madame Li Ying does go hard.
Yeah, I think this is also a fetish that's really out there and it's really present in popular culture. And I don't know about you, but I think kind of we all have more or less these fantasies when it comes to massage plays, or just asking your partner to dress up in white. How are they called? Scrubs.
Scrubs or doctor's coats.
Oh yeah, and a doctor's coat. And then there's, of course, this more hardcore side, which is also kind of, I don't know if you've seen Killing Eve, but usually it's really linked to kind of something dangerous and dark, because it is quite scary.
It is, and it can be dangerous. So it's important to know that Madame Li Ying is a trained nurse professional and was married to a doctor for some time, where she got a lot of insights and advice on how to do this very safely and very consensually. And she loves it.
Yeah, she loves it. She loves it. And she talks to us what are the most important things, what are her clients into, and how she got into it from the beginning. Because she started out not knowing anything about kind of this whole world we are diving into here at Spank U Next.
Yeah, her first trip into the BDSM scene was in London, but she's serving the Hong Kong fetish and BDSM scene as well, and she's just an absolute delight to talk to.
Really, also really beautiful. I'm amazed by her.
Gregor was enthralled, as he usually is with powerful women. So without further ado, let's get her in here.
Let's get her in here.
Hello.
Hey.
Madame Li Ying, welcome to Spank U Next podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
So why don't we just start off with you telling us how you came to your work and dominatrix in London?
I am originally from Hong Kong. So how I get into the fetish scene was 18, 19 years ago. There was a fetish party, my very first fetish party. It started off, I went to the shop. Just for curiosity, it's a sex shop, and it's so different from the ordinary sex shop. It got latex, and I've never seen latex in my life. And the store manager introduced me to the playroom. And back then I didn't know what fetish was, but it was just eye-opening for me. They were quite welcoming. So they asked me whether I was interested to participate into their fetish party, even just go and watch. And I was feeling adventurous. And that's how I went to my first fetish party. And how I get into pro-doming, I didn't even know they exist. So at this fetish party, I saw this beautiful woman dressing up in rubber uniform and doing some slave training stuff, basically just have a collar and leash on a guy. And she was very powerful and very beautiful. So at that moment, I wanted to be like her.
And so how did you learn everything? Because I guess there's quite a lot to learn.
Yes, I was interested, and then it can potentially make very good income. So I asked the owner of the shop. She's English and she's been in the UK and Hong Kong fetish scene for many years. So I asked her to train me. And she taught me some basic stuff like flogging, foot worship, spanking, all the technique. And I realized there were more to it. What about the psychological aspect? What about role-playing, and how many different kind of role-playing are there? And I'm sure there's more than just foot fetish and spanking, must be more. So I start browsing websites, I start buying books. So I came across a book called The Memoir of the Dominatrix by an English dominatrix called Mistress Chloe. She's retired now. And I flew over and then I asked her to train me more. And there's a lot more that I could imagine. So I want to know this, I want to know that. And finally, I found my niche. Medical play is my niche, is my passion. Medical play and cock and ball torture using medical instruments.
Yeah, okay, we need to talk about this. So, because it sounds also really risky. So how did you learn and how do you prepare for this?
Before I became a pro-dom, I worked in PTSD. I worked in post-surgical rehab. So I know the human body very well and just know I have the common sense of what to do and what not to do. How I prepare depends on what sort of things that I'm doing. For example, needle play, I do the skin surfacing and instead of like going right into the body. These are the common sense that everybody should have. I will not say BDSM is risk-free, but you do need to be aware of potential risks. For example, if I'm doing needle play, I'll have to disinfect the skin and have to use sterile needles and make sure the needles are not outdated. And with other stuff, like, I do catheterisation and scrotal infusion.
Okay, we need to know where all those people that don't know what these things are. Could you give a little description of what these, like catheterization, is that how you say it? Catheterization?
Yeah, catheterization is use a catheter, which is a rubber tube, to insert the catheter through the urethra into the bladder to drain the urine out of the bladder.
Is it popular? Like, do you get a lot of people wanting to have this done?
Yes, I would say 40% of my clientele, or even 50%, they're into urethral play. Some of them just want urethral sounding, and some of them would like the sensation of having a catheter insert inside them. Yeah.
It sounds like you found your niche that really followed on from your professional development. Are there people out there that aren't trained and that there is the potential for greater risk if you're not properly approaching this kind of play?
Yes, keeping everything sterile is very important. For example, for catheterization, you have to have a sterile field, which is an area that is absolutely clean. And also with the catheter, you have to be covered at all times. And with other instruments, like metal instruments, like urethral sound, for example, urethral sounding, the sound you have to be sterilized 10 minutes before you use. Anything that insert into my client's body, it has to be sterile because inside our body is sterile.
Okay, let's maybe talk a bit about the setting, because this is obviously something you don't do in somebody's bedroom. So where do you work usually?
I have my own studio. This is where I prefer to run my sessions. I also run sessions in other studios in London, but for medical sessions, I prefer to have it done in my own studio because I know where things are. And secondly, I do clean the whole place before my sessions, not only medical sessions, but any sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you are in power of your own studio, basically.
Yes.
Let's just imagine a new client contacting you, maybe a man that says they want to try a medical session with you. Mm-hmm. Do you have a conversation with him before what they want to do, or what the experience they have?
I do. What they want to do, the experience, physical limitations, whether they are on medication, what are their no-go areas. If a person asks for a catheterisation or urethral play, I will ask whether they have a history of UTI and like how old they are. The older men tend to have enlarged prostate, which it won't cause any trouble. It might be a little bit difficult to pass the urethra through them, though I will have to give them a little bit of warning that the catheter might not be able to go all the way through, and just have to prepare for that.
I'm interested to know, is it mostly male clients that you work with, or do you get other types of clients as well?
I'm open to female clients, but so far all my clients are male.
And why do you think that is? Talking about the psychology of it, do you have a sense of why it's more male, or the reasons they come to you? I guess there's a lot of different reasons, but is there like a thread through them all?
They enjoy the thrill. They enjoy not be able to control their bodily function. See,
that's interesting.
Imagine you cannot control your pee, right? Don't you find it quite scary when you're being tied down on a cold, hard medical bench, have your legs spread wide open, and then someone insert a rubber tube inside your body through your pee hole?
Yeah, I imagine that would be scary. I haven't done it myself.
Yeah, it sounds really scary. So, just to get this clear, this is mostly purely psychological, and it's not sexual. Is it also sexual for some of your clients?
My clients get aroused by it, so it is sexual. If it turns you on, isn't it sexual? Yes, we have
anything that kind of titillates you and gets you going.
I think we have had this debate since Stone Age. BDSM is not sexual. BDSM is sexual. I mean, having sex with a client, it's not what I do, but if it turns you on, how can it be not sexual? That is my question. So, yeah, I might start having people throw rocks at me now.
There is like kind of a tense debate in BDSM about all this.
I try not to get into it.
Yeah. Do you have a community of medical DOMs around you as well? And do you help each other train and guide each other?
Yeah, we do skill sharing. We have a community. We don't have a group or anything, but we know each other because the medical DOM scene is not very big. So we know who does what. I have a DOM friend in Belgium and another DOM friend in Scotland that were nurses. So if there's something I don't understand, then I will contact them. And in a way, I will help other people with things that I know. Yeah.
That's great. It's great that you have people in the medical profession you can go to. It means you're taking a lot of care in how you approach it.
Yeah. I won't do anything that I'm not sure of, and I won't take any unnecessary risks. Because we talk about, BDSM, there is a certain risk. But I won't do anything stupid, basically.
Yeah. So you said kind of this first fetish party was like 18 years ago, and then you trained, you learned. So how long ago did you start experimenting with medical fetish?
I guess that was probably 10, 15 years ago. Not long after I met my ex-husband. and he is a medical professional, so we talk about medical all the time. And
it's really a scene. I love it. There's so much overlap.
Yeah, and he helped me to make sense of everything.
From a medical perspective, what did he think about your work?
He's in the scene.
Great.
He's in the scene.
Cool.
He's in the scene. Yeah. And he helped me a lot with things that I do, especially the sterilization part. Nothing matters.
Yeah.
Sterilization is the most important thing at all times. This is half joking. Yes, with the technique, with the physiology side of it. And what I'm trying to say is things like using poppers. Poppers lower your blood pressure. So you just have to be careful using poppers that not mixed with other chemicals like nitrous oxide, and because it messes with your heart rate. Does it make any sense? This is just an example, but this is the thing that he helped me to understand. And with my further research, so there are things that I don't do. And even though I know a lot of people.
What are they?
Oh, God.
You don't have to. You don't want to.
Yeah. For example, some people breath play. People mix with nitrous oxide, ethyl, and poppers 3 at the same time. So you can imagine how it affects your heart. Although it is short-lived, but I still see the potential risks in it. I don't know if someone has hidden cardiac problem.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you don't really know the medical history.
Yeah, I don't know the medical history. So this is the thing that I don't do. Other obvious stuff, I get people to ask me to castration and really cut.
Really? Okay.
Cut their gut and it would be great to see my balls leaking out from my skin, that sort of thing. I mean, that's absolutely stupid on a whole new level.
Yeah, I mean, that's also genital mutilation in the terms of probably it's not legal.
It's I don't know why they have that idea. It's probably seeing things from the internet. I mean, I have seen in my own eyes the video on social media, like how I'm not sure whether they are real or not.
It's a big thing because, we work for Fetish.com, and there's a lot of people that message me saying that they're interested in castration. And I'm not sure if they're really going to go through with it, but I imagine for men, it's the ultimate humiliation is losing your, manhood.
Masculinity, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like in air quotes for the listeners.
Yeah.
And for that, it's like the ultimate giving up of that.
Yeah.
I think I read on your website that one of the things you offer is like mock castration.
Yes, I can do mock.
What is that? What is that?
It will be a whole load of psychodrama involved, and with the physical part, I use a knife that attached to the e-stim. The knife is blunt, but the sensation it's when you turn it.
Okay, just do you say e-stim is electrostimulation?
Yeah, electrostimulation.
Okay.
Yeah, so there will be a lot of psychological preparation, and then I normally do it via sensory deprivation, like having blindfolded, and then your body senses heighten, and that's when I do the cut. Of course, it will not really cut him, but when you turn the e-stim right up, it can be quite scary. The sensation can be quite scary. This is the furthest I could go. I'm not going to cut somebody's skin and check out the testicles.
Yeah, it's good you have those limits, I think.
So let's see that there's this big psychological element to it that is not knowing what's happening, sensory deprivation, this element of fear.
Yeah.
But
But
then
then
like a scary movie, right?
Yeah.
It's like, why do you watch scary movies and want to be scared? It's like the thrill.
Yeah, it's the thrill. So,
And then still there is this big physical element to it because there are needles involved and there is a catheter involved. And for instance, you talked about cock and ball torture before. Do you want to talk a little bit more about this? So kind of
there are different ways to do cock and ball torture, like impact. Like some people like ball busting, kick in the balls, or impact, like ball caning, use a riding crop. That's the impact side of cock and ball torture. I like needles. I like needles. So I use needles. I use urethral sound. But I think urethral sound is more pleasure than torture. So electro sound with the electrostimulation, there are electro sound. So I like using needles and maybe a ball crusher, ball stretching. But
What is a ball crusher?
Ball crusher, it's okay. It's just like a little bit like that. You put
okay. Like a clamp.
Yeah, like a clamp. Yeah. Yeah. Some of them have spikes.
Oh my God.
Some of them have spikes, yeah. And some of them don't. Sometimes I improvise. I use the clamps, the ball crusher. And then I'll put a piece of tin foil. And then I will put crocodile clamp that attach to the electrostim. That will
I see.
fry the balls, yeah.
Fried.
Fried, yeah. So,
you don't want that on your Saturday morning breakfast. Fried balls.
well, even better, I can attach the crocodile clamps on the needles. And then run the electro pinwheel on the needles. So that's
I can see how much joy you get out of this. You love your work, don't you?
I love my work. I love to create. I like to try things out. Not on myself, but, always willing victim. Yeah, yeah. So the fun part is I can create different type of torture.
It sounds like you're getting very creative with your torture methods, and I'm here for it.
You want to try?
No, I think I'd rather do the inflicting.
You do the inflicting?
Like
Yeah.
I have to ask because I think I'm very sensitive when it comes to my balls. Are they kind of your clients? Do they usually... Is it because they're used to it? Is it because they have lots of experience? Or do they really like the pain? Or are they not as sensitive when it comes to their balls and cock?
Oh, is it why they like cock and
because
ball
I think
torture?
they can stand much more pain than I could, for instance. I think
Yeah. Well, the pain turns them on, and my biggest client who comes for 4 to 5 hours, the pain takes the stress away. He books long hour sessions. Yeah. So
that's a really long session for you. That must be really like emotionally and physically draining by the end.
Yeah, it's intense. Both physically and emotionally. So because in a session, it's not only inflicting pain on doing things to the client, there is a strong emotional connection to it. Without that, the session will not be successful because things happens in a session. I'm not saying about bad things, but I need to know and I need to feel how my clients respond to what I'm giving to them. Because every session, first of all, everybody responds differently. And also in a long session, he might feel different at any point. Then I need to come up with a plan B or plan C or plan D.
When you have a 4-hour session, is there kind of the same intensity during 4 hours?
It can maintain the same intensity.
Oh, wow.
Otherwise, what is the point? You get that air after 3 hours, then why do it?
So it's not kind of up and down. You can actually maintain that kind of steady incline of intensity.
On different levels. The body definitely need a little bit of time to come back and recharge and then go again. That's what long session is all about. So that is why you asked me earlier about structuring the session, how I structure it. It's important too. Yeah, structure the session and then prepare for plan B, C, D, E when plan A doesn't work.
Yeah, because anything could happen, I guess, in these kind of high risk situations.
Yeah, and also the client at some point it happened to me before. His mood dropped for some reason, has nothing to do with me. Then you will have to come up with something different, like more sensual. And maybe at that time his body had enough. He just want a rest. So that is the time to back off and give him a bit of sensual play, and then see if we can go again. So it is not easy, but this is why I like it, because I like the interaction. I like the connection and understanding of my client, understanding my client and his mood and how his physical react. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you have to be very in tune with sort of energy
Very.
and emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you have to have a unique talent for that, knowing when the like mood has dropped and when it's going back up again. And I guess aftercare will be a big like part of the session, right?
Yeah, aftercare. Yeah. Most clients prefer a glass of water and then go home. But some of my clients who come for long session, they will prefer to have a cup of tea, especially my 5 hours client. We had a burger afterwards, just like desperate for food. So we just sat next to each other and then complete silence because we were too busy worshipping our burger.
I bet you're absolutely starving after.
We just KO'd each other after 5 hours.
Do you also work with a safe word, or do you sometimes change the intensity of a session during a session, or do you renegotiate what you're doing during a session?
We definitely negotiate, because before the session, we will discuss like session planning. I do like session planning because just what we said before, a lot of people, I want A, B, C, D, E, but actually that's not what they want. So I need to talk to them and know what they really want. What is it that they really want in a session? Then it will help me to plan accordingly. I don't know what other people do, but I'm not the kind of dom that, don't tell me what to do, because I'm the boss. I will take charge of the session. But it's not really that. I need to know what they like. I need to give them step by step what I will going to do. But okay, these are the elements that we are going to have in the session. But how it play out, it's up to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and yeah.
This is something Anna and we talk about it a lot in the podcast, because basically BDSM is a lot about really knowing what you want and being able to communicate it.
Yes.
And if you're not sure what you want, then that's when a session can go wrong, because, you're not clear where your limits are.
For new clients, I prefer to communicate with them. I prefer to communicate and to refer to what you say earlier. A lot of people don't know what they want, and that's communication is very important. And I encourage my client to tell me if something is not working. I have to know, because it is their experience. And especially for the first session, if it goes wrong, I think it will affect their BDSM journey.
So that was Madame Li Ying.
Yeah, how do you feel? Well, have you changed your mind about anything? Are you convinced of things to try?
I think really if medical fetish is something you would want to try, I think with Madame Li Ying or somebody as experienced, you are in the best hands.
I feel very safe in her hands. That's what I was really getting throughout the interview, is that she really knows what she's doing.
Yeah. Still, I have to say I'm also not so much into pain. I'm not so much of a masochist in that way. So I don't know if it's for me, but I think I get this fetish now.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, as we said before, usually we know more about, the more vanilla aspect of this fetish, because, it can be a little bit of role play. But then there's also that really hardcore side of it.
I also feel that I get the titillation of the pain. I do. And how you must feel so vulnerable being strapped down to that chair and having things inserted into you, or even just the idea of the thing coming towards you would be so scary that I can see it's a turn on. Yeah. But for me, I'm a bit like you. I think it would be too painful for me, and I'm not so into pain either.
Yeah, I think in the end, like with most fetishes, the psychological aspect of it is really important.
Absolutely. And with that, that's episode 1 done. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with episode 2, so look out for it wherever you get your podcasts. We're excited to bring you more kinky stuff.
So until next time.
Keep it kinky.
Don't forget to subscribe to Spank U Next on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow us on Instagram at Spank U Next Podcast.
If you'd like to connect with people who share your kinks, sign up to Fetish.com for free or download the Fet app from Google Play Store and the App Store now.
And for any one of you who is looking to deepen their knowledge of kink, head to the BDSM training school on Fetish.com and enroll in a course now.
And last but not least, shout out to our producer Billy Cragen, our kinky team, and everyone who makes this podcast possible.
Oh.